From Learfield. This is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance, the American Dairy Association Mideast, and by Credit Union of Ohio on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Now, along with Coach Jake Diebler and former Ohio State captain Ron Stokes, here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
And thanks for joining us this week as Ohio State prepares for the final week of the regular season at home tomorrow night with Nebraska before going to Indiana to face the Hoosiers on Saturday. And Ohio State comes in after winning their last outing, 87-82, on Wednesday night in Los Angeles against USC. Jake, it's got to feel good to be back home and back in normal surroundings here, doesn't it?
Yeah, long trip out west. But, I thought our guys really handled it well. We put a lot of thought into how to handle that time out there, the travel, the in-between games, and, I thought we really executed it well.
Coach, this is the first time we've done this with the 4 additional teams in the Big Ten. As you stated, you had a game plan to try to prepare for all the in-between time between the 2 games. So pluses and minuses of what you did or maybe that you can use for next year?
Yeah, I think certainly you got to be in the moment, right? Coming out of the UCLA game, losing that game, my instincts were to have a great practice, right, the next day. Address the things we didn't do well, compete, But it just we needed that time to do a more active recovery. So I thought that ended up being really important, taking that day to and certainly we watched film and things. It wasn't void of basketball, but, we didn't go on the court, which, I think ended up being the right decision because, we had been dealing with sickness. We had some guys banged up, and I just felt like going to the USC game, we needed to be as ready, feeling as good as possible. And, I think it was the right call.
And certainly it seemed to pay off with how gutsy guys played at the end of that game against USC.
Yeah, and, we had guys play some heavy minutes. We had 3 guys over 30 minutes. And, I thought we were really connected. I thought we played tough. I thought, conditioning wasn't an issue. At the end of that game, we made some shots at the end of the game, hit our free throws at the end of the game. We were able to get open at the end of the game. So I think I was proud of the toughness we showed there down the stretch.
I know it's a tough call trying to manage 18, 19, 20-year-olds.
It is.
Right. But when you look at it, how your team displayed that toughness against USC, but like in the game against Northwestern at home, it's like that wasn't your team. So and I know that you've relied on your leaders to kind of lead the team to be another voice outside of you at times, right?
Yeah, and our leadership wasn't good enough that game, against Northwestern, and it was much better after that, kind of back to being where it belonged. And I really felt like during the USC game it was really good, And listen, we played really tough and together against UCLA. We couldn't throw it in the ocean, it felt like, but we played tough and together enough to be right there at the end. And I thought our leadership was good that game too. So, listen, the best teams, player leadership is critical. And I think we've had some great stretches of that this year. It's been a little inconsistent at times, and some of it is guys growing into new roles. But, I thought it was really good on this trip out west.
When you think about a guy like Devin Royal and all that he's done, you had to navigate around foul trouble for him in the most recent game against USC. Talk about some of the thoughts, how quickly to put him in, when not to put him in, but also how he was ready when you really needed to go to him at the end of the game. Yeah,
we tried to play him right with 2 fouls in the first half. Got that offensive foul to pick up foul number 3. He's so important to us, his ability to rebound and his ability to score, and he's the versatility he's shown in the last, 6 weeks offensively has been important. But, we trusted him. They got that offensive foul call, so that made it even harder, right? And then we got in the second half. I just told him, you just got to play, man. You can't worry about the fouls. Just play, be yourself, be aggressive. And if we got to adjust, we got to adjust. But, I do think obviously we showed the confidence we have in him, at the end of the game. And really the last 4 minutes we went to him, multiple times.
Yeah, and let's just go right to that, Coach. We talked about it a little bit after the game, but the play, what went into calling him to get that play done and to help your team to win?
Yeah, so, we felt like he was the guy I wanted to go to, in that moment. And, we got him in a situation where he was able to get the ball to the middle of the floor and do it where we were able to manipulate the pieces where it wasn't as easy to help as maybe we had gotten him, to spot. We got him in the middle of the floor off a catch, a few possessions earlier. This one we got to the middle of the floor by catching it, along the baseline. And, I believe in his free throw shooting, so it's a big reason why you want the ball in his hands. And the force and physicality required at the end of the game, to make something good happen. I got great confidence in him. So we wanted to get him, the ball with an opportunity to drive it. And he did a great job. He read it perfectly, played with great force. He's got great touch in there. And again, trust his free throw shooting. Absolutely.
Was this a game where you got maybe not so much in the way of points, but production off the bench that was really crucial in this game?
Yeah. I think, we had some good defensive production, off the bench. I thought Evan Mahaffey had a couple really high-level defensive possessions. I thought Aaron Bradshaw's energy. Now, listen, he wasn't ready to play, significant minutes. It's been well documented, wasn't with us first game, had to fly out. He was recovering from being sick. But I thought his energy that he played with was really good. I thought Colin White, had some great minutes. And how about, for a freshman to be able to stay ready like he has? And listen, his growth this year has been impacted by injury, right? Like he has not had a steady dose of availability, and he's been playing through some pain. And, I've just been so impressed with his toughness. And he, I just felt watching the shoot around, I don't think he missed. So I felt like, man, if he can get a shot up in the game, he's probably going to make it. And sure enough, he hit that one in the left corner. But, yeah, I thought our bench did a really good job against USC.
Now, I know you've challenged your bench, right, and list from top to bottom in terms of Aaron Bradshaw, Quest Glover, Evan Mahaffey. But it was great to see Aaron Bradshaw. He had a stretch, I think it was like a minute, 30 seconds, where he made a great play. And then he dove on the ground. I know he got injured after he dove on the ground.
Yeah.
So that's what happens, big fella, when you dive on the floor. That's what you do. But I thought it was motivating for your bench.
It was.
To see him diving and making the effort. And those are the kind of plays you need, obviously, to win on the road.
Yeah, and he saves a possession, dives on out of bounds to save it, goes down, hits a three, right? And, I think we've missed, when he's been out, we've missed that. Right, like certainly his size, but I think more importantly his energy, and so, he gave it everything he had. I know it was 11 minutes, right? But he gave it everything he had, and I thought it was impactful, and I thought his energy was contagious. Absolutely.
If you have a question for Coach Diebler, you can submit it to our Union Home Mortgage inbox at ohiostatebuckeyes.com and click on Coach's Show Inbox, Union Home Mortgage. Learn about their 1% down payment program at uhm.com, equal housing lender, NMLS number 2229. More of today's show presented by Roosters coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready?
It doesn't matter if you're playing hard or working hard. Your workout only works out if you recover right. Chocolate milk helps you recover for what comes next. It's delicious and contains the right mix of protein and carbs to help refuel exhausted muscles. From biking to bench presses, Milk's protein helps you build lean muscle and gain more from your workouts.
Ready? Recover. Repeat. Brought to you by the American Dairy Association Mideast, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Cheers to a great day and this ice-cold Corona.
You know what would make this day even better? My grandma's carne asada.
Or your grandma here with us, making carne asada.
She does love a cold Corona.
Throw in some dancing.
Oh, we can watch the game.
I'll drink to that.
So a backyard concert with football, food, dancing, and Corona?
And your grandma.
Or we could keep it simple.
Simple is good. Want a Corona?
Thanks. Salud to the perfect day.
Corona, la vida más fina. Get your Corona at ordercorona.com. Relax responsibly. Corona Extra Beer, imported by Crown Import, Chicago, Illinois.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hey basketball fans, Credit Union of Ohio wants to help you score more by making life more affordable. It's time to play with a team that helps you win every day. Credit Union of Ohio's loan rates have dropped to provide affordable financing for the things you want and need. It's time to reevaluate your current loans and consider refinancing with a team that cares about you. Check out current specials and get started scoring more money at cuofohio.org. That's cuofohio.org. NCUA insured, equal housing lender.
Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Cellar. Growing up in the family business, I've seen firsthand the joy and love that comes with finding the perfect engagement ring. For over 77 years, our family's been dedicated to providing the best quality, unmatched selection, and the guaranteed best price. From timeless classics to custom designs, we have the perfect ring for every love story. Let our family help you celebrate the moments that mean the most. Visit Diamond Cellar today on Salmo Road or at Easton Town Center.
The Fan, Ohio's sports destination. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back to our show with Ohio State coach Jake Diebler. Time for today's Elk and Elk injury report. We should probably retitle it Illness Report. Having a few days since getting back on Thursday, leading into tomorrow with Nebraska, just a general sense that folks have gotten a little healthier, Jake?
Yeah, as of last night.
Okay.
It's always today. But, no, I think we're in a good place. Certainly moving in a positive direction heading into the game tomorrow night. So, so far so good.
Sounds good. The injury report brought to you by the injury lawyers at Elk and Elk, proud sponsors of Ohio State Athletics. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. What was the weekend like as far as schedule and all of that, getting back on Thursday from a 6-day trip, rolling into playing tomorrow night? Just kind of how did you deal with things as far as giving the players a day off, what the coaches did, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, we gave the players Friday off, and, coaches, we have a great staff, and there isn't really much of a concept of off day during the season because there's always another opponent to be prepping for. So, as a staff, we met and really turned our focus, to Nebraska. And then we got together on Saturday with our team and got on the court and, worked on some specific things for us to get ready, and then had a great practice yesterday, and we need to follow it up with another good one today. So that's kind of been our prep. And this time of year, you're not on the court as long. I think you got to operate with great urgency. It's got to be crisp. It's got to be direct. You got to go over the details necessary to get you ready for the game. But I also think you don't need to overdo it as far as time on the court. And I just want to make sure our guys are fresh to give their best come Tuesday night.
Coach, I want to go back to the USC game. There's a lot of great moments. We just talked about what Devin Royal did in that ball game to hit that and one. But in terms of him developing confidence, also Micah Parrish defensively, and what your team was able to overcome. I mean, more times than not, when you play someone on their home court and they shoot 60% from the field for the game, you don't normally win. But just talk about how your key guys made plays on both ends of the floor late, and the fact that you had to overcome a team shooting 60% from the field.
Yeah, well, defense wasn't good enough. I think that's for sure. And I thought we put ourselves in good position at times, and they got to the foul line when we had some good possessions there where we didn't need to send them to the line. But all in all, I thought we did a really good job that game of when they fought back, because during that stretch we had some good looks from three, that we didn't make, but we didn't let that deter us from getting a win. We didn't let it, affect us down the stretch. So, there were times there where we needed to execute a little bit better offensively, but for the most part, I thought we got some good looks. I thought maybe there was a stretch there where we just weren't quite as good offensively when we were having trouble stopping. We tried to go zone. If you saw a couple times, mix it up. But all that to be said, when a team comes back like that at home, oftentimes it ends up flipping the result. I thought our guys stayed tough. They stayed poised. They stayed together. And our execution down the stretch, certainly in the half court, but also in the full court. We showed a press break that we hadn't shown before, one that we had been working on and saving, and we executed it great. So I was really proud of how we stayed in the moment and didn't let their comeback affect the outcome.
It ties into the first of our Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions. Jim in Cleveland asking, what are the calming messages that you use when all of a sudden you see a lead dwindle like that?
Yeah, well, I think when what you're doing is you're evaluating quality of shot offensively in that moment, and you're evaluating your communication and execution defensively. So it wasn't perfect in that stretch by any means, and there were some things we needed to do better. But for the most part, we did do some good things. So I think, when emotions can be a little high, and sometimes, my emotions are high because there are some things that, in this group you can coach hard, and that's what I've loved about them. But I do think it's also in those moments you need to talk about what you're doing right too. And so that's what I use at times is say, hey, that was a good shot. That was the right shot, or, hey, we've gotten 2 good looks in a row. Just stick with it. Next one's going in. Like, that kind of communication. Then defensively, it's, hey, we guarded well for 25 seconds. Now we got to finish the possession. Or we did guard well. We got to finish with an offensive rebound. So I think you got to feel the vibe, right, in the timeout. You got to feel the vibe. And I think sometimes you got to let your players talk too, and let them kind of hash some stuff out in timeouts, and then come back and reinforce that.
And that calming extends more than just the timeouts, because there's times during the game where you'll pull a guy over during a free throw or whatever, a break, and you'll deliver some additional coaching to get them through a tough moment as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's at times sometimes the message is not calming, right, we'll say. But other times it has to be. And guys got to be reminded of how much we believe in them. And I think oftentimes they got to be reminded to move on to the next play, especially with a young team. We got some young guys out there that are in big moments. And, moving on quickly is really valuable too. And I think that's a big part of my job, is to get guys ready to play well the next possession. Because as we've seen this year across the league, but certainly, with this team, every possession matters because they all seem to come down to the wire.
As a player, as a former player, you were too as well. There's nothing more enforcing when your coach allows you to make a mistake and still believe in you, and then you can reward him by having some really good stretches of good minutes. So that's why that coach-player relationship is so special and important.
Yep, it's critical. I think it's, as the landscape has changed and in college basketball, I think the coaching relationships and ability to connect with players and get players to connect with each other too is everything. It's not to diminish the importance of X's and O's, but I think those parts, are so important because of the turnover you have on a roster and the newness you experience every year. But I think we've seen some guys, especially some of our young players, and even some of our older players, like Bruce. Bruce has grown as a player. Some of our young guys have really grown. Micah Parrish has grown as the year has gone on, and I think a big reason for that is relationships and connection. So, I'm a believer in it, Ron. And that's why I trust my staff, so I can do a lot of that, during the game.
Jake, with his last game, the unique situation of USC at a lot of the time, 5 guys about the same size out on the court. How does that dictate what you're doing with substitutions and who's on the court?
Yeah, it's a little different than what we've seen in some other games. But, I felt like we had to match their size or from a smaller sense, with smaller size. And I thought Sean Stewart, we went to some switching 1 through 5 on ball screens and handoffs. I thought he had some big time, defensive possessions being switched onto guards. We were able to play smaller, but not too small because their guards all had size. And so that's why we had Colin White out there at times because a little bit bigger guy on the perimeter to be able to go. We were kind of cross-matched a little bit to manipulate the switching. So I thought we did, all in all, we were able to execute at least our covers. Then it became more of a one-on-one game, so we were taking away some of the looks, through the flow of their offense and then put them in more one-on-one situations, which at times we got a little spread out. We needed to be a little tighter in our gaps. But I think, also there were times we were able to make them score tough twos versus giving them good looks from three, especially when you have a lead there down the stretch.
Well, when you look at their team makeup, and Paul made a great point about how all of them seemed like they were 6'6", 6'7", but they had two guys that can get downhill, Desmond Claude and also Wesley Yates III. And Yates, as I shared with Paul, he doesn't look like a freshman. I know he's a redshirt freshman, but still his body is mature. He's a physical specimen. What about the challenges of trying to stay in front of those two guys? I know Micah Parrish made an incredible defensive play late, but just the entire game, those guys are going downhill 100 miles an hour with athleticism and strength. Yeah, well, and I think the way the game was being called, you saw a lot of free throws being shot, so it put and listen, that's why we were attacking the way we were attacking too, because we got some of those free throws. So I felt like there were times where they made some really difficult 2-point field goals, and our defense was pretty good. But they're really good players. Good players do that. Great offense beats great defense. So there were some times that there were also times where we gave them an advantage, to get to the paint, which we, can't do, but. Yates is a really good player, physical, tough, obviously can score it in a variety of ways. I mean, Claude had a big-time finish, going right. That was an extremely tough shot there down the stretch. So, that's what good players do, and this league's full of them. Every team's got them. So, I think for us to be able to, again, to combat that surge they had to get the win was great for us.
It had to be great to see John Mobley playing the way he did, given the fact that we knew he was limited in the UCLA game.
Yeah, again, his toughness. I mean, he was battling really the whole time we were out there, and honestly, it started before the game before, and I thought his mentality and toughness to be available, but then also to play at a high level against USC. I thought he played a really mature and poised game. He had some great paint decisions. Played with some great poise in the paint. So I thought he showed tremendous growth and toughness to play the way he did after feeling the way he did.
The Roosters Foundation helps raise over $1 million each year for local charities and organizations, and is the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes. The Roosters Foundation is donating $25 for every foul shot the Buckeyes make at home this season to BAM Beyond Ability Matters. BAM provides kids and young adults with neurological disabilities the opportunity to live their best lives. We'll have more with Coach Diebler with our weekly show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you're planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's new $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add on your choice of a sub, salad, wings, a 10-inch pizza, and more for just $5. It's the new $5 Pizza Pals menu from Donato's. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's. Gotta love more.
Every game, every season, Buckeye Nation comes together to support Ohio State basketball. The Buckeyes make their fans proud by giving it their all on the court. Their hard work, determination, and resilience embody what our state is all about. Every client, every day, Elk & Elk works tirelessly to support the great people of Ohio. A consistent winner in the courtroom, we get injury victims the compensation they deserve. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye Nation, join us on April 13th at the 2025 Ohio State Four-Mother, presented by Union Home Mortgage, the Ohio Beef Council, and Raising Cane's. This is your chance to run down the tunnel and finish on the 50-yard line at Ohio Stadium. A portion of the proceeds benefit the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. This is something you won't want to miss. Register today at ohiostatefourmiler.com. Go Bucks!
Your home of the Buckeyes. The Fan. Now back to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Union Home Mortgage is the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS number 2229. Ohio State at home with Nebraska tomorrow night. That is a 9 p.m. tip-off here at the Bayou City Arena. We'll go back to our Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions, and this comes from Ken in Athens. Illness has been something that every team has had to deal with. Has there been anyone on your team or staff who has completely avoided the bug?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about it in that way. I think everybody's been hit with a little bit of something, but I think for the most part, you can look at kind of like Bruce Thornton is, and part of it is he's so elite at taking care of himself and getting the recovery that he needs and stuff. So I think he's done a great job. But he's been, he's battled through some stuff, I think, certainly, but I guess I'll say myself, been pretty fortunate to make it through so far.
And you had to deal with, I think it was the Northwestern game here where one of your assistant coaches, Luke Simons, was not here. That had to be hard keeping him away.
It's hit everybody. It's coaches, players, staff, managers. I mean, it's and again, other teams have been through it as well. And I'm just most proud of the way our guys have kept moving forward as a team. This is part of it. How you handle it, I think, really speaks volumes, and I think we've handled it really well.
Coach, when you look at this Big Ten, we've said from day one it's a competitive league. Paul and I were talking about the game the other day or yesterday between Michigan and Illinois, and that Illinois team looked pretty darn good.
Yeah. I mean, going into the season, we anticipated them being elite, and they've had some injuries or dealt with some guys being out, and I think Coach Underwood's got them playing at a really high level right now. Every game in this league, every single game, you got to find a way to bring your best, because that other team on the other side is capable of having a great night too.
And when you look at these scores, Coach, I mean, I expected a close game. They ended up winning by 20, right? Yeah. So I know the three-point shot has a lot to do with that. If a team gets hot, that can distort the game in terms of how it ends. Like that 20-point lead, the game was really closer than that final score. Yep. But just speak to that, like how even to that degree, a good team like Michigan playing on their home court, last home game of the year, and they get beat by 20.
Yeah, well, I think you're seeing it across college basketball, really, and you're seeing it even in other leagues and the scores of games. It's hard to know. You never really know what the other team could be going through, and you look across the country at some of these scores. That's why we focus so much on getting ready to give our best for each individual game. You can't look too far ahead. You can't look too far behind. You got to find a way to almost reset and get yourself ready to go every single time you step on the court when the lights are on. And, I think that's the best way to do it, Ron, because you never know whether it's injury, sickness, or whatever. I think you got to be focused on the task at hand, and you have a responsibility to get ready to go for that game and that moment. And that's what we've tried to do.
What do you see from this Nebraska team that you'll see for a second time this year? Well,
I think it starts with Williams. He's such a prolific scorer, scoring it at multiple levels on the court, capable of really having explosive segments and just kind of taking over a game with his offense. And I think it's important. You got to take care of the ball against them, because if they get some of those turnovers that lead to easy baskets, that's how they've battled through some of these games. And Esijan has been an X factor for him, and his ability to score in bunches. And I think Gary's toughness for them is so important. His ability on the offensive glass to score in the paint, get to the free throw line. I think they got some great pieces, and certainly we saw what they're capable of at their place earlier in the season. And I've just been really impressed with their team, and we gotta be ready to give our best tomorrow night.
When you look at Coach Horberg and his success at Nebraska, I know they've struggled here a little bit, playing in the Big Ten, 3 in a row, 4 of their last 5. But just talk about their schemes and their type of play, and what's the challenges of trying to win against them.
Yeah, well, I think defensively they really shrink the floor. They force you into crowds, particularly along the baseline, and they're going to make you, really make you pass. And so they're a heavy rotation team defensively, without getting into too much detail about the scheme, but in general, defensively, and then offensively, they put you in, they make you make multiple decisions as a defense. Aside from their ability to go into ball screens with Williams, which isn't a lot of decision making, at that. He's really good, and there's times they keep it very simple with him having the ball, but then there's other times where they're going to put you in a lot of situations where you got to make a decision to switch, to not to switch, to things like that. So we try to keep our guys playing off instinct. Communication's critical this game defensively, and you also again, you got to know personnel tendencies. They do a really good job of playing to their strengths.
And we've talked before about different looks, either that you give or you have to be prepared from a team that you've already seen. Does that come into play just as much here when you're seeing an opponent for a second time? Yeah, I think so. You got to be ready. And even last game when we played them, there were some counters being made from both sides back and forth in the second half to coverages that maybe they were seeing defensively. So that's an important part. I also think a lot of times, to some degree, at this time of year, everybody's trying to fight to play to their strengths. But, being able to give really good players different looks on defense becomes important. So, we're prepared to do that. But, we also, you don't want your guys overthinking and becoming too reactionary instead of being the aggressors and playing off instinct.
Yeah, when I look at this first game, your team only turned it over 6 times in the entire game. The big thing defensively, I know you're big on that. They shot 52% on both halves. That just can't happen.
It's not good enough. Yeah, Riz, it's not good enough. We didn't do a good enough job protecting the rim. Mm-hmm. We let them get to the rim for scores. Some of it was off of offensive rebounds, and a couple were individual post-up possessions, but we gave them with some defensive breakdowns that, really we needed to position ourselves better, communicate better. We gave them some layups. And then in a game that, like this is coming up on Tuesday, right, you can't do that. You can't give easy points with a breakdown. You got to be really connected and tough. Make them earn it. And we didn't do that enough, that game. That's why they shot so well, because we gave them too many easy looks.
When you talk about rim protection, is that where you hope you can get more minutes out of Aaron Bradshaw on that thought?
Well, I think rim protection is certainly your guys with size is a part of it, right? It's a big part of it. But sometimes it's not their rotation. And in that game in particular, we didn't rotate over early enough a couple times. So it's both, right? Certainly we want our guys with size to be anchors for us defensively and make sure there's nothing easy around the rim. But with the way they play, the guy that our our forward or big is guarding, right, is oftentimes on the perimeter. So that opens up the lane for cutting and moving and driving. That's why once that ball establishes a side, we got to establish our help position. We got to be there to protect it. Sometimes it's not the big guy. Okay. Sometimes it certainly is his job, but not always.
Coach, this is your second year as a head coach, dealing with senior night, last game of the year. I know some programs do it after the game's over. Some teams, most do it before. What's your thought into that, pros and cons?
Yeah, well, I think it's important to acknowledge and listen. Who gets honored on senior night is different now, right, than it traditionally used to be. So the big thing is, I think it's important to honor people. I'm fine with kind of doing it before the game and giving guys and their families a chance to have that moment. I think that's really special. And I think about a guy like Kalen Etzler, right, who's going to get his degree from Ohio State this year, and for he and his family to be able to experience that moment is really important. There's a big game to be played, right, and that's where our focus is. But we also certainly want to celebrate, that, and also our managers. I think you think about, like for us, it's Nick and Eric. Them, right? What they do on a daily basis, and having done that now for multiple years, to get their degree from Ohio State this spring, to be a part of this basketball family, which they very much are, right? Even though they don't get to score any points on game day, they have important jobs too. Mm-hmm. And so for them and their families, to have that moment, I think it's really special.
We saw something years ago we'll never see. Ken Johnson with 2 senior nights, and Coach O'Brien told him there won't be a third when he went out the second time. We'll learn more when we continue with our weekly show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
Where more than 1,700 scientists are working on new treatments and new hope for every form of cancer.
You're making the choice to have the most advanced treatments, many of which were developed right here.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Union Home Mortgage knows Buckeye fans never leave Ohio State behind. We've helped millions of first-time home buyers get into their dream home through our 1% down payment program. Put as little as 1% down, and UHM tosses in up to 2% on the house. Learn more at UHM.com or call 877-846-4968. Union Home Mortgage Corp is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 2229. UHM will contribute up to 2% down, no greater than $2,000 towards a 3% down payment. Home buyers responsible for the remainder of the down payment. This offer is available for the purchase of a primary residence only. For full terms and conditions, visit UHM.com. For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
At Kroger, an annual Boost membership just got even better. Now you can choose from Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, or ESPN Plus on us when you sign up. Plus, enjoy unlimited free delivery, double fuel points, exclusive offers, and free items. Sign up for a Boost membership today. It's an easier way to save, including new streaming options to relax with while we deliver your groceries. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Your home for Buckeye basketball. This is the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
The Foundation is operating a 50-50 raffle at each Ohio State home men's basketball game this season, with proceeds supporting community-based NIL opportunities and the Foundation charities. For more information on how you can participate, visit the Foundation social media channels. And welcome back to our show this week. Ohio State at home tomorrow night with Nebraska. That'll be a 9 o'clock tip-off. We'll go back again to our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. This comes from Tim in Millersport. How has the transfer portal changed the way you recruit high school players and vice versa?
Yeah, great question. And there's been some, Hall of Fame coaches with some comments on this, lately. And listen, I think for us, there's always going to be a blend and, a balance to recruiting high school players, but also, maintaining flexibility in the spring to recruit the portal when it opens. And, we want to be aggressive in the portal, and I think it's important. You're seeing how important experience is in college basketball, and, as talented as freshmen can be, and I'm really excited about, our young guys coming in. Experience matters, and so we want to be aggressive in the portal every year. There's a lot of that goes into that. NIL plays a significant factor in that, but opportunity and need, when communicated, I think correctly and clearly, can provide a great opportunity for some players. So we'll always have both, though. I don't think I don't anticipate being a year where it's one or the other entirely.
One of the things that impacted college just for this 5-year period was the COVID year, where all these guys got and justifiably so, got the extra year. But I think Zed Key was the first year, so I think
this is the last COVID,
right?
Yep.
So
aside from some injuries,
you get the injuries, but the rash of that being across the nation, where everybody gets this extra year, that should impact some things too, I would believe.
Yeah, for now, it's hard to anticipate kind of what the rules might be here in the near future. But I think that's true. We saw, with kind of an extra year provided that impacted, I think high school recruiting and roster construction. But, with that, I think there will be a lot of players moving on, and, that opens up more opportunity, certainly.
We've heard a lot about it mostly with football, but the portal window, where it fits on the calendar, is that kind of where you'd like to see it, or some changes to it, or is that kind of a subject that was too much of a curveball to throw here?
Well, there's a lot that goes into portal recruiting, and I think I don't know that there's ever an exact perfect time. I like that we have one window. I know football has 2 windows, so I like that we have one window. It does present challenges that teams are still playing. When the window opens, I think we've shifted it a little bit later, which I thought was a good move. So. And I think that it being a smaller window to make a decision is good as well. So I think we've taken some steps that help. We'll see how we feel after this spring, certainly. And, we'll see kind of what the landscape looks moving forward when, all this stuff gets settled. But I think it's in it's been a better place than it's been.
Okay.
And, we'll see just exactly if there needs to be more changes, and the window or the time, the date it starts needs to be, adjusted. But we've taken some steps forward as a governing body, and I think that's good. And
there's another wrinkle to this, too, is that you get a young man that makes a decision to forego his senior year in high school, and want to go to college early. How does that impact your recruiting, and what involvement are you as a coach with that when a recruited player makes that decision?
Yeah, I think part of recruiting is you got to know all available options, right? And high school international recruiting, has become a bigger deal. I've said this: we want to be, players in that space and aggressive in that space, and reclassification is an option for high school kids, and so there's a lot. And then you have the portal, and there's a lot of different avenues to build a roster, and ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is roster construction. And you're making decisions in a really short window, right, that last you the entire year. There is no changing. Once you make those decisions, like, that's it. And that's the part, I think, in college basketball that's so unique. Professionally, there's free agency, there's trade deadlines, there's things like that. Even in European basketball, you can add players, cut players, and stuff, depending upon injuries or whatever. That doesn't exist in college sports. So, that tight window you have to make decisions, to put your roster together, I think you have to look at all available options, and you got to really gather as much good information as you can to make the best decisions you can.
We'll talk more with Coach Diebler when we continue with our weekly show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield. Hey, Buckeye Nation, Paul Keels here for my other favorite nation, Window Nation. If you're a fan of scoring, you're going to love this. Window Nation is going nuts with an incredible offer just for you. Buy 2 windows, get 2 windows free plus 0 down and 0 payments with 0 interest for 2 years. And if you order a full house of windows, you'll be part of a full house at the Shoe with tickets to a Buckeye game. Call Window Nation today at 866-90-NATION or visit them online at windownation.com. Tell them Paul sent you for the Buckeyes Full House Special.
Hey, Ohio State fan, are you ready for game day? Get hyped and get your crew going with the Buckeye Meal at BK. For $20, you'll get 1 juicy flame grilled Whopper sandwich, 1 original chicken sandwich, 2 mouthwatering cheeseburgers, 3 crispy golden small fries, and 3 refreshing small drinks. Grab your $20 Buckeye Meal today and share the taste of victory. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Ohio area restaurants. Tax extra. BK is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Union Home Mortgage knows Buckeye fans never leave Ohio State behind. We've helped millions of first-time home buyers get into their dream home through our 1% down payment program. Put as little as 1% down, and UHM tosses in up to 2% on the house. Learn more at UHM.com or call 877-846-4968. Union Home Mortgage Corp is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 2229. UHM will contribute up to 2% down, no greater than $2,000 towards a 3% down payment. Home buyers responsible for the remainder of the down payment. This offer is available for the purchase of a primary residence only. For full terms and conditions, visit UHM.com.
At Ohio State, we are the never afraid to innovate teams, the agile, get it done teams, the achieve more together teams, and the improve people's lives teams. Together, we are the Ohio State University.
Learn more about Ohio State at osu.edu/impact.
It's Toyota truck and all-wheel drive season, with more all-wheel drive choices than anyone else, including all-wheel drive versions of the best-selling Corolla. Now through March 3rd, get low-rate financing on a Corolla, or lease a gas-powered 25 Corolla LE for $229 a month for 39 months with $32.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details, or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Buckeye Nation, join us on April 13th at the 2025 Ohio State Formather, presented by Union Home Mortgage, the Ohio Beef Council, and Raising Cane's. This is your chance to run down the tunnel and finish on the 50-yard line at Ohio Stadium. A portion of the proceeds benefit the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. This is something you won't want to miss. Register today at ohiostateformather.com. Go Bucks!
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
Your Ohio State flagship station, The Fan. You're listening to the Jake Diebler Show, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Joint partners American Electric Power, Kroger, Donato's, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS-TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/BuckeyesCare. And welcome back to our show as Ohio State prepares to host Nebraska tomorrow night. Once again, in our Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions, Brad in Aurora asking that the telecast last Wednesday showed Evan Turner and William Buford at the USC game. How often do some of the former players come to games, and do you have them speak to the team?
Yeah, a lot. And I love it. I'd have a former player at practice every single day. I'd bring a former player to, for every road trip if we could, and every game. I think it's such a – I'm a big believer in family, our Ohio State basketball family, and I think our former players are such a significant part of that. And the more that they can be around for our guys to see, just how important this program is to them, right, is to the former players, for them to see that. And I think it's a way to help our guys play for something bigger than themselves. The investment our former players have in this program is, I think it makes this, it's one of the things that makes this program so special. So it's critical. And sometimes they speak, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they talk to guys individually. And sometimes just having them in the gym and me explaining, like, hey, fellas, you don't know who that is, but what he accomplished here and what he's doing now, life after basketball, all that stuff is so important. So I'm a big believer in our former players know they have an open invitation to come around our program whenever they want. Anytime, all the time, we're open for them to be here, because I think it's such an important part for us.
Jake, tomorrow's the last home game. Now, you still will be making use of the facility as you go on to what lies beyond tomorrow night. But if you would just talk a little bit about some of the comforts of being here, your home routine, how it is just so beneficial to know where things are, how you go about getting in and out and on the court, as opposed to all of the nuances that come with being away from home.
Yeah, well, I think, there's pros and cons to it, right? Like, you get to sleep in your own bed, and I think sometimes there can be more distractions at home than on the road. And I think, having a young group, you got to be mindful of that. And I think our guys have handled it well, but I also, listen, we've had some great environments in here for some of our home games. And, it's important. Like, we need another great environment tomorrow night in a huge game. So, I think there's value in having access to all the recovery tools, everything you have when you're at home that you might not have on the road. But I've also been proud of the way this team has played on the road, and our edge and our mentality, whether we've been down and had to come back and win, or been up and held on to win. Like, I'm proud of the way we've played on the road, and even a couple of our losses, like, we were right there. So, this team really, for almost every single game, has played with great toughness, has played with an edge, has played together. It's the foundation of this, young program moving forward. And, certainly playing at home in front of your fans, I think there can be just a great advantage, and we're going to need that tomorrow night.
Does that also tie to what you've talked so much about having meaningful games late in the season?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, again, despite everything we've been through and the choppiness of our lineup, we'll say game to game, like, this team is stuck together. This team's, grown as the season's gone on, and we've earned the right to play in these big, meaningful games this time of year. And I think that's important. There's a lot of teams that aren't. Now, would we like to have a couple games back from earlier in the season? Absolutely, without question. But, I think we've taken some significant strides, from the beginning of the season, this collective group, and it's important.
Well, thank you as always. Glad we got through that last segment without Ron.
Yeah,
it was a big burden to have to work without him, but we'll see you here tomorrow night.
Maybe you are the MVP after all.
We know better than that. Thanks for listening to today's show, presented by Roosters and brought to you statewide by the Encova Insurance, the American Dairy Association Mideast, and by Credit Union of Ohio. Join us tomorrow night as Ohio State hosts Nebraska. Our pregame coverage begins at 8:15 p.m. For Skip Mossick, Colin Behringer, Ron Stokes, and Coach Jake Diebler, this is Paul Keels. Thanks for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. Guys, listen up. How many of you out there have been diagnosed with sleep apnea? Maybe your partner can't tolerate your snoring every night. You can't stand your CPAP machine. I totally get it. But the good news is there are alternatives to the CPAP machine. And Dr. Mark Levy is here to change your sleep and your life. Trust me, your spouse will thank you later. Dr. Mark Levy can customize an oral appliance that opens your airways, helps you breathe better, and, of course, stops your snoring. That's the main point. It's quick and comfortable and an alternative to those bulky, loud CPAP machines you always hear about. For over 15 years, Dr. Mark Levy has led the way when it comes to treating snoring and sleep apnea, and now he's expanding his practice to better serve his patients with a brand new location in Marysville. I love Marysville. If you're snoring and not sleeping, you need to call Dr. Mark Levy's office today. Do not delay. Schedule your appointment today with Dr. Mark Levy at 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. That's 1-800-MORE-SLEEP. You can also visit him online at sleepbettercolumbus.com. And now, sleepbettermarysville.com too.
At Rocket, we believe everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. So if you're feeling locked out of home ownership, we're here to give you back the keys. We're opening doors, breaking down walls, and doing everything we can to turn renters into owners. And we're not going to stop until we help everyone home. To find out more, visit rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful.
Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're like most Americans, you've racked up tens of thousands in credit card debt. You're stuck with 20% interest fees, and even the monthly payments, well, they're hard to make. It's insane. Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. The good news is that there is a way out. AFLcash.com. That's AFLcash.com. Advantage First Lending. They specialize in fast, easy access to the equity in your home. Most homeowners have hundreds of thousands of dollars in their home equity. That's your money. AFLcash.com can get it out for you with zero junk fees and zero hassle. You can pay off all those credit cards in just a matter of days. Pay off your car loans too. Cut your monthly expenses by $800 or even $900. I'm telling you, the relief you need, well, it's right there at your fingertips. AFLcash.com or call 844-394-CASH. That's 844-394-CASH. Break out of the credit card debt prison with AFLcash.com.
Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1209177, subject to lender approval.